Chris, can you just kind of walk us through a little bit where you are in terms of numbers, where you've been over the past week? Do you test daily at this point? What are you going through right now?
Well, we're just trying to get the guys that had it back. Obviously, the ACC changed their guidelines, which helps the time frame a little bit. But we've tried to use these days since the guys came back from Christmas break to get in shape and prepare for Wake Forest.
Can you give us a sense of how many players you expect to have available tomorrow?
We'll have almost everybody available. Now, where they are conditioning-wise, obviously we miss Malik at Western Kentucky, but Malik has been full go since we returned as a team. But we have other guys that are at different stages. So even though they may get released the day of the game and are free to be available, you're talking about, in certain cases, 8 or 9 days with not having done anything, from cardio to practice. So it's, while they may be available, they may look a little different. Their availability may not be as great.
How quickly does a player get out of shape just from laying off?
It's been my experience with this, with COVID, that depends on how symptomatic they were. Some guys come back with a chest cold or like a chest cough, and some guys come back where they didn't have any symptoms. And, it's still tough if you're removed from doing physical activity for a week or longer. But it really depends on how symptomatic they were.
Can you tell us how many symptomatic guys you had?
Multiple.
Chris, this is a time of year, no school. If you guys are full go, you can really dive into basketball. Teams can get a lot better during this time of year. How much did this pause hurt you guys in that regard, or is that a little bit overrated?
No, it's definitely a great time to get, extra reps in the gym, get guys caught up, try to improve them, not having to worry about, they don't have to worry about classes, homework, exams. It's all ball. So we have a little bit of that time remaining, not as much as we would have liked. The biggest thing for us is getting our guys back in shape. A few of them we don't have to worry about as much because they weren't ever out. We didn't practice, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So we didn't practice for 8 days. So guys were able to do a little bit on their own that were healthy. And like I said, we tried to use these last 3 days to get our win back.
With the way that this thing is now in college basketball, once again, you see games left and right getting postponed, canceled, all of this stuff. Do you guys have to maybe, or maybe you already were doing that, go back to stricter protocols and guidelines and all of that stuff just to try to get through it?
I don't know how much that stuff works. Everybody around the country is getting it. Try to do what we can.
Do you see any possibility of the Kentucky game being rescheduled?
Tim, I have no idea. To hear that we didn't want to play Kentucky or we ducked them, it's like we have bigger problems than that, and we have guys that can't practice for 8 or 9 days. It's a really good net game for us. It's an incredible rivalry. Guys get really juiced to play the game, but we weren't able to. And I don't know in terms of making it up. I looked at their schedule as soon as this was sort of on the horizon about not playing the game, and the only break they had during their conference season, they had a game scheduled with Kansas. And so it really is going to depend on games that we lose because of other people having COVID. Same thing with UK and being able to materialize that game in such a short notice. And if we can, we will. But I don't know. If you're asking for a percentage, I have no idea.
Chris, obviously you guys had the 2 in-season pauses last season, and first game back didn't really fare too well. Was there anything that you guys took from those pauses in order to make sure that this game against Wake Forest doesn't end up like those 2 games versus Wisconsin and North Carolina?
I think back to when we played Wisconsin, and we didn't have, arguably the best player in the league Jalen Withers, played like 6 minutes. He was exhausted. It's just getting our guys back in shape is the biggest challenge that you have. And, you try to speed that up as much as you can. We practiced hard on Sunday night. We practiced twice yesterday. We're not going to go twice the day before the game, but just trying to get our guys' wind back as best we can. That'll give us the best opportunity to be very competitive against a good Wake Forest team. And make no mistake, we're playing to win, and I believe that we can, but we're going to have to play really well. And we didn't play well in those two experiences that you mentioned a year ago. Those are a lot different circumstances than what I think we're dealing with now.
Chris, you said last week you had several guys who had gotten the booster. Do you know if more went and did it as a result of this?
A few more. I mean, knock on wood, I don't feel like between guys that got sick, that contracted it, and guys that are boosted, I don't think that we'll have any program shutdowns from here on out, which is a great thing. But it's certainly not a certainty. But I feel like we have enough guys that have either had it or gotten the booster that we're in a really good spot. You want to ask about Wake Forest?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Basketball team, or
I was going to say.
You want to talk about protocols and
What-
COVID and masking and all that stuff. We can keep going down that line, but it's really like nauseating at this point. We're in season 3, college basketball, dealing with this. And I know it's everybody's job to talk about it, but it's like, seeing entering protocol, on your timeline over and over and over. Like, let's talk about the game.
Well, what about Wake Forest? What did you see?
They're really good. They have one of the best players in our conference in Alondis Williams. Amazing the transformation he's made as a player from Oklahoma to now. I mean, he's averaging over 20 a game. He's by far the best passer we've played all year. Their guys play with an aggressiveness, a confidence, and it's going to be a big challenge for us tomorrow night.
Chris, you said going into the break that if Malik couldn't start, you felt like Rose was your starting center now, that he would be your number one backup if Malik can't start. Is he ready? Is Malik ready to start tomorrow? And then, in addition, just what led you guys to that decision about Rose?
Malik is ready to start. He'll be the starter tomorrow night. Rose, just as I've said before, he has the best combination of hands, athleticism. He makes a million mistakes. The times he makes the same mistakes over and over are frustrating. He's a freshman, but he's got to grow through those, and we have to be able to stay on him to correct those things. But he's big. He's athletic. He rebounds in traffic, and you can't teach that. If a kid isn't nasty in traffic, and you can try to bring it out of him, but Rose has that instinctually, and we need that. We need that at the center position. He's an excellent finisher on rolls. You've seen that with a few of the dunks he's had, and he doesn't have a lot of experience yet, so we want to keep feeding him as much experience as we can.
And then what does that mean for how you will use Jalen?
Jalen's got to play better. His effort on the offensive glass has to show. His ability to take care of the ball has to show, and if he does those two things, then his minutes will grow, and he'll play a little bit of both of those positions, both the 4 and the 5. And as he plays well and as he plays effective, his time will grow, and I don't know which position, but it'll grow.
You see so much more of these players in practice than we would ever have an opportunity to.
You're always welcome to come to practice, Tim.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on that.
Practices have always been open.
But are there things as a coach that you look for specifically from individual players as far as giving them more minutes, what they have to do? Do they understand what their thresholds are, I guess, is what
Well,
I'm
I
asking.
think as a coach, what you want is consistency. I think I've said this before. I got to know what to expect when a guy either enters the game or starts the game, and that's been the head-scratching part, is the consistency of a few of our guys. And each of them have strengths and talents and weaknesses, and maximizing those, and being consistent is the key to extending time and getting more time. Coach can trust you, he can rely on you, and knows what he's getting when he puts you in the game.
Are there players who are different in practice than they are in games?
Again, I think the performance of it being inconsistent or consistent is relatively consistent in both areas. If that makes sense. Thanks, guys.